Hey everyone, welcome back to the podcast. First off, I just want to say thank you for tuning in. I really appreciate everyone who's listening, whether you're here for the first time or you've been with me since the beginning. It means a lot to know that you're taking some time out of your day to hang out with me. Um, it's always cool to think about us all tuning in from different places, but somehow we're still kind of in the same room, just chatting about life. So today I thought it might be cool to do something a little different. I wanted to take you guys through a day in my life. Nothing too fancy, no crazy adventures or anything like that. Just a regular day, you know? But honestly, I think there's something really interesting about seeing how other people live their everyday routines. We always see the highlights, the big events on social media, but I think it's the little daily moments that really say the most about us. Plus, I don't know if it's just me, but I find it kind of comforting to listen to people talk about their regular routines. I mean, yeah, we're all so different, but in a lot of ways, we're also kind of the same. We all have that morning alarm, that cup of coffee, those moments when we're just sitting there thinking about life. So today, I'll be taking you through what my typical day looks like. So let's dive in. All right, so I guess I'll start from the beginning. My alarm goes off pretty early, around 6:30 a.m. Now, let me tell you, I'm not naturally a morning person. I never was. In fact, there were years where I would sleep in as long as possible, hitting snooze multiple times. But eventually, I realized that getting up earlier gives me this little extra buffer of time in the morning. It's like having this quiet, slow start to the day instead of feeling like I'm rushing from the moment I open my eyes. You know that feeling when you're scrambling out of bed, half awake, already worrying about what you need to do? Yeah, I absolutely hate that. So over time, I've trained myself to get up a bit earlier. But hey, don't get me wrong, it's not easy every single day. Some days, especially if I stayed up late the night before, it feels like a real challenge to pull myself out of bed. But it's funny, once I actually get up and get moving, I rarely regret it. There's just something about having that extra bit of time that helps me start the day with a clearer head. So the first thing I do is naturally reach for my phone. I know, no, I know everyone says it's not the healthiest habit, but I'll be honest, it's kind of my way of waking up my brain, if that makes sense. I'll check any notifications, texts, emails, just kind of scanning to see if anything urgent came up overnight. It's like for those first few minutes, I'm just reconnecting with the world. But I try to keep it short, maybe just a quick scroll through Instagram or Twitter. Um, the trick is not to get sucked in, right? I mean, we've all been there opening one app, then suddenly realizing half an hour has gone by and you're still lying in bed. So, yeah, I've gotten better at staying mindful and setting a little limit for myself. Once I've shaken off some of the sleepiness, I'll sit up, stretch a bit, and just breathe. I know it sounds a bit silly, but I found that taking even just a few seconds to pause and take in the morning really sets the tone for my day. I'll take a deep breath and just sit there. Instead of immediately going into go, go, go mode, I give myself a second to just be. Taking that moment to actually wake up instead of jumping straight into things has helped a lot. After that, it's time to head to the bathroom. Now, I'm actually big on skincare. I don't do anything too elaborate. It's not like a 10-step routine or anything, but I've found that just sticking to a couple of good products makes a huge difference for me. The first thing I do is wash my face with this gentle cleanser. It's supposed to help with breakouts, and honestly, it's been a lifesaver. I don't know about you guys, but when my skin feels fresh and clear, it just gives me that little boost of confidence. After that, I use a toner. I know toner sounds like one of those things that's just an extra step, but it actually makes my skin feel really clean, like it's ready for the day. Then I'll slap on some moisturizer. I keep it simple, nothing too heavy, just enough to keep my skin feeling hydrated. It's amazing how these little steps can make me feel like I'm taking care of myself. It sounds small, but starting the day with that kind of attention to detail feels like an act of self care. Oh, and recently I've started using sunscreen. I'll admit, I used to be one of those people who thought sunscreen was only necessary if I was spending the day outside. But apparently, it's super important even if you're just working indoors, especially if you're near a window. Uh, I didn't believe it at first, but once I read up on it, I realized I should probably be better about it. So, sunscreen is the final touch. It's taken some getting used to, but honestly, I think my skin's thanking me for it. Next up, coffee. I'm a huge coffee fan. I used to drink it just for the caffeine, but now I actually enjoy making it. I've got this little French press, and there's something about grinding the beans, boiling the water, and waiting that just feels calming. While the coffee is brewing, I start thinking about what I want to achieve that day. I'm not a super organized person by nature, so I've tried to develop some habits to keep me on track. I keep a notebook on the kitchen counter, and I'll jot down a quick list of the big things I want to do. It could be stuff like finish that report for work or go for a run in the afternoon. I know a lot of people use digital to do lists, but there's something about writing things down that helps me stay grounded. I'll sip my coffee and just plan. It's one of the best parts of my day because it's quiet and I feel like I have this clean slate ahead of me. Then it's time to get to work. Right now, I'm working from home most of the time, which is nice, but can also be tricky because it's easy to get distracted. I set up my workspace near a window so I get some natural light and I try to keep it clean, though that doesn't always happen. I start by checking my emails and catching up on anything urgent. Sometimes I have morning meetings, so I'll join those, trying not to look half asleep on camera. I work in marketing, so a lot of my day is spent writing, brainstorming, and researching. One of my favorite parts of my job is the creative freedom I get. Sometimes I'll dive into a new project or brainstorm ideas for a campaign, and it's really satisfying to create something from scratch. But of course, there are those days when it's just back to back meetings or I have to tackle a task I've been putting off. I try to break up my day with little breaks so I don't get burnt out. I'll go for a quick walk or just step outside for a few minutes. Working from home has taught me a lot about balancing productivity with mental health. I've realized that it's okay to step away from the screen and take a breather. It actually makes me more productive in the long run. Around noon, I'll take a lunch break. I try to eat healthy most of the time, so I usually make something simple like a salad or a sandwich. Lately, I've been into making these veggie bowls with quinoa, veggies, and some grilled chicken. It sounds like a lot of effort, but once you get the hang of it, it's actually pretty easy, and it tastes way better than some quick snack. I'll put on a podcast or a YouTube video while I eat, something relaxing or educational, like a podcast about personal development or a cooking video. It's like my midday reset. I don't know if it's just me, but I find that taking an actual break, like not working while I eat, really helps me recharge. After lunch, it's back to work. This is usually when I try to tackle the bigger projects or any creative work because I'm more alert. Sometimes I hit that afternoon slump, that time around 3 p.m. when you're just feeling tired. So I'll make a cup of tea or grab a snack, maybe some fruit or a handful of nuts, just a little something to keep my energy up. If I don't have a meeting, I'll sometimes put on some background music, nothing with lyrics because that's distracting. I like instrumental or lo fi beats, which keep me in a good rhythm without pulling me away from what I'm doing. When I'm really deep into a project, I get into this flow state where I kind of lose track of time. It's the best feeling. Like you're just in the zone and everything else fades away. After work, I like to get some exercise. I've been trying to be more consistent with working out, and I've realized it doesn't have to be some intense session every day. Some days I'll go for a run, other days I'll just do a quick workout at home. I've also been doing yoga lately, which has been great for unwinding, especially after sitting at a desk all day. I never thought I'd be into yoga, but it's surprisingly challenging and really helps me clear my mind. If I'm running, I like to go around this park near my place. It's got this nice trail with lots of trees, and it's just a great way to disconnect and get some fresh air. Plus, there's something therapeutic about running. It's just you, your breath, and the sound of your footsteps. By the time I'm done, I feel a lot more relaxed and ready to chill for the evening. After exercising, I'll usually make dinner. I like cooking. It's kind of a hobby of mine, but I try to keep it simple on weekdays. I might make pasta or stir fry some veggies with rice. Occasionally, I'll try a new recipe if I have the ingredients, but I usually stick to something I know I can make quickly. Cooking is actually pretty relaxing for me. I'll play some music or a podcast and just get into the rhythm of chopping and stirring. It's like a little ritual that helps me unwind. Once dinner's done, I'll either watch something on Netflix or read a book. Lately, I've been trying to read more instead of just scrolling on my phone. I realize that I get a much better night's sleep if I wind down without too much screen time. Right now, I'm reading this novel that's pretty interesting. It's nice to get lost in a story after a busy day. Before I go to bed, I take a few minutes to reflect on the day. Sometimes I'll jot down a few thoughts in a journal. I'm not a huge journaling person, but I've found it helps to just write down a couple of things that went well or things I'm grateful for. It doesn't have to be anything big. Even something simple like had a good workout or enjoyed a nice walk is enough. Then it's lights out around 11 p.m. I try to get a solid 7 to 8 hours of sleep. I've learned the hard way that I'm pretty useless without sleep, so I make it a priority. I set my phone on Do Not Disturb, plug it in, and I'm out. And that's pretty much it. That's a typical day for me. All right, well, that was a little peek into my daily life. I know it's nothing too extraordinary, but I think there's something valuable about finding joy in the simple routines we create for ourselves. I hope you enjoyed hearing about it, maybe even picked up a few ideas for your own routine. Thanks for listening, and I'll catch you in the next episode.